Greetings and salutations, you beautiful people. We are back for a little bit more League Unlock. Eric and Mark with you guys, as always. Got some LCK highlights, LPL highlights. Everything's back in full swing over from the break. And we've got a banger Saturday lined up. We're going to preview some of those matches. But we start with T1 versus Nongshim. And the beauty of this 10-man roster with T1 is they can 2-0 in, I don't want to say dominant fashion. They were in control of these games. You know, took 35 minutes each to take down Nongshim. But even with a 2-0, why isn't Faker playing? There's always the negative. Where's Faker? I don't even care that they won. I'd rather they lose 0-2 as long as Faker's in the lineup.
You're not wrong exactly entirely with that type of line of thought. But what we did see today is a 2-0 performance from the T1 squad, getting a win across the board. And yes, Closer started in the mid lane for both of the games, as well as having Teddy down in that bottom side. Look, again, thumbs up for this T1 performance. But the problem is you feel like you're given one thumbs up, really, for this squad. And you're left feeling that, well, Faker steps in and Faker, plays like this and does this type of play. It's a double thumbs up performance for the squad. And that's just what we're missing with T1 and that feeling. And unfortunately for T1, this type of performance, sure, looked good, looked more or less clean. I still feel like to get to that next level, to perform against the squads, even like DRX and Hanwha Life, you need to slot Faker into that mid lane.
It's interesting because you look at last split when Closer was coming in, he played a lot of Zoe games, but when he was playing, it was like, wow, this kid could be a star, like one of the upper echelon mid laners, and he's still, of course, he's been good. He's absolutely an LCK starting mid laner, but the last few weeks that he's played, you're kind of like, Faker could do this too. Like, I'm very confident that he could meet or exceed the performance level that we're getting out of Closer right now.
Right, and that's ignoring the name of Faker, right? That's removing the nameplate from this equation and just looking at the raw performance, and especially the recent raw performance from these two players would indicate that you would rather go with Faker in the mid lane, and especially because of, on top of just the performance, the variety that you get with Faker, right? The depth of his knowledge and champion pool and interactions, that is extremely invaluable. Some organizations combined don't have that type of knowledge that your boy Faker's got in the mid lane. That's the next type of change that we want to see, because absolutely the expectation for T1 needs to be 2-0ing a squad like Nongshim, even with this lineup, even with the Closer lineup or whatever type of changes you'd want to make. But moving forward, it's still as clear as day to a lot of people that to take that next step to be a top team in the LCK, the roster needs to be better and functioning better. And a quick fix for that is having Faker start.
So the actual games, the first one, it was a couple of big Baron fights that fully went the way of T1. Game 2, the entire top half of the map was the exact same draft for T1. You had Closer on Lucian again, and then the bot lane gets switched up, and I love whenever we get to see Kyria pick something fun. Game 2, he gets the Nico support, and he would finish this game with 5,000 more damage done than his boy Teddy.
Oh, man. Yeah, you said it, my man. Anytime any support is getting to bust out something a little bit, out of the norm, out of the meta, it is fun to watch, especially somebody as creative and as talented as Kyria. Getting to bust out as exciting a champion as Nico. That was a real treat down in that bottom side. I think one of the big things that does need to be mentioned throughout this series that we haven't touched on yet was Owner in the jungle. And he was absolutely a major difference maker in this series. And especially when you look at the history of things, outshined Peanut in this series and might be a bit of a, kind of the old guard and the new guard of what we've got in the LCK.
Hard to take him out of that starting spot for Elo Mercuz with how he's been playing since his debut, basically. You had a very rough dive from him and Zeus in the top side to start game 2, but that was really the only blemish you could talk about for T1 in that second game. It was pretty in control from there, and as is the theme the last few weeks, it's Nongshim, guys. They're 3-7, haven't looked good in a while. It's a 2-0 for T1. Sure, okay. I'm not fully on the bandwagon yet, though. Still not there.
It feels like treading water is what this victory does for the T1 organization.
Because you lose this and you're drowning pretty quickly.
Right, not only in the LCK standings, but as well for anyone's type of power ranking situation. This feels like a holding pattern for the squad. And even when you're thinking about this match in the grand scheme of things and looking for the rest of this week, right, knowing that there's signature matches heading up for this squad that need good performances all across the board to get a proper result, or let alone even fight for a proper result in those series, it's possible that Faker's sitting out and just preparing for that, right? Ultra studying, making sure that we're absolutely primed and ready for that matchup. But still, even if you want to consider that type of angle and that type of preparation for these series heading up, pretty sure we could have still seen Faker get into the lineup for this matchup.
Now I'm just picturing...
That's nitpicking.
Now I'm just picturing Faker in a tank of water like Mewtwo in the Pokemon movie, just waiting, charging up for the Damwon and Gen G matches.
Hey, you're getting ready to play Damwon and Gen G. You better be prepared like Mewtwo.
Yeah, well, they're going to need a Mewtwo performance against Damwon because we know what they've been doing to the rest of the LCK. They were actually in action, was Damwon, same day against Live Sandbox. Now, T1 and Nongshim are much closer in competitive level and standings than Damwon and Live Sandbox. But let's be honest, Damwon likes having fun. They've had this rivalry with G2. They're trying to take some things from G2. And sometimes, when you're 9-1, kind of dominating the LCK, you gotta find some time to have fun for yourself on the Rift. And that's exactly what this series was.
And to be honest, I don't know, many of the top squads that we've had throughout the LCK's history have not shown us this type of personality, this type of flair, this type of excitement that you get with a squad like Damwon and how they want to play and how they want to respond on the Rift. And I think the closest thing that we ever had to that might have been the Longzhu squads. And the connection there is obviously Khan in the top side. That might be rubbing off a little bit of that attitude, yep. His wild personality, of course. But look, what he's been doing, as we said many times earlier in the year, reuniting with Koma and the way that Koma has been able to reach through to Khan in the past, we've seen that translate obviously into the performances. And one of the things that you mentioned, that flair, that style, they're looking like a G2 and how they were having fun in this match against Sandbox.
Yeah, as we look into these actual games, because it was a 2-0 and it was actually much closer than a typical 2-0 Damwon you would expect, especially, both games really. But the first one, you had the hilarity throughout of Canyon just running so ridiculously fast on the Udyr, and then Khan with this Cloud Soul Scion just spamming his ulti off cooldown, running down any lane possible.
Yeah, look, I know there's a lot of situations where the Scion is not always the best, and I know that there's always situations where the Cloud Soul...
Scion is insane. Khan is insane on Scion.
The Cloud Soul has not always been the most valuable. As you're saying, someone that's able to make Scion look insane, like Khan, and then you add in the benefit of that Cloud Soul, one of the few champions that truly becomes into the realm of busted once you get that Cloud Soul, because as you said it was ultimate after ultimate after ultimate. And eventually, I don't care how bad you are at piloting the Scion ultimate, you do it that many times, you're gonna nail somebody. And actually, Khan, as we said, is pretty darn good at it.
And his counterpart, bless his heart, Summit, was trying his damnedest to win this game.
What do you do into that?
8-2-9 on the Gnar, and he had 100% kill participation. He tried so hard. It looked like it was all in Sandbox's control. Well, not all in their control, but they looked like they'd maybe end the game after a catch out on Showmaker. And then, of course, Ghost has that very sick play on the Kai'Sa to save the game and just win it immediately from there.
Which has been a nice little reminder, because after the last maybe 2-3 weeks, I think a lot of people, ourselves included, we're falling into the line of, okay, we're seeing the highlights from Khan, we're seeing it from Canyon, even Barrel is popping off, and of course Showmaker's always popping off, so you don't need me to talk about that. But Ghost was kind of going by the wayside again, and it was one of those situations where it wasn't anything bad, wasn't anything extreme either. But it's nice to see a little bit of the pop off back from Ghost, because as we know, if he's popping off, That's an incredibly dangerous angle as well for Damn One, because I already listed all the threats that are almost always there. You add in Ghost being able to put a little bit of fresh style on you, you're going to be put in the gray screen simulator.
Yeah, well, when you're talking about Ghost playing at that level, that's when it's world championship status that we're talking about with Damn One. And we roll into game 2, which was still some crazy team fights. There was a bad fight around Herald where Sandbox, despite a soul-crushing loss in game 1, credit to them for being a 10th place team in the LCK, bounce back mentally, have another competitive game 2. We had Beryl on Rel. We love seeing him on engaged supports. This game was about Showmaker on the Azir specifically. He ended up picking up player of the game. And there were a couple of team fights where Ghost does get caught out, or Damn One looks like they're losing the fight, and then it's, oh, Showmaker's at full health. Oh, okay. He just completely turned the fight around. Gotcha.
But this is one of those lessons that we've been preaching this episode, is that when you're talking about LCK teams, you're talking about the powerhouses, you're talking about Damn One Gaming and what they bring to the table, and that's Showmaker and what he does in the mid lane. And if you want to stack up, you want to compete with them, you need to bring that level of play at the very least to match up in that mid lane. And the match that we're looking at heading into this weekend is, of course, the big old T1 Damn One showdown. We just talked about the performance in mid lane for T1 and how it's leaving a little bit to be desired. You feel like there is a next level. Well, that next level is Showmaker. So unless you want to be at a disadvantage, you got to be able to step up and meet him there.
Yeah, you know, all that stuff trending on Twitter where you post a picture of you as the final boss. I'm just putting a normal selfie if I'm Showmaker. I'm just like, yeah, I mean, I'm the final boss. I don't need anything else.
Hey, man, you put the Summoner's Cup up. That's all you got to put. That's what it is, man.
Gotta shout out, Ghost did get a pentakill at the end of this game. There's been a lot of pentakills in 2021. It's kind of insane. But he got it on
the new items, man. It's the new items.
New items. He was stomping his way on the Tristana. Quadra in game 1, Penta in game 2. 10-1 now for Damn One. Yes, guys, believe it or not, they're the best team in the LCK. And now 800 MVP points, which is 200 more than Chovy for Showmaker. So yes, rightly so that we are praising him. Because, you know what, guys? He's pretty damn good, as he has been for his whole time in the LCK. RNG is a squad we've been waiting to come back. It's been a long time. You know, we moved them a bit on the power rankings. They matched up against the absolute terrors on the Rift, the powerhouse Rogue Warriors. It's hard to find storylines against Rogue Warriors. You know, 1-7. They have Betty. Betty's their starting AD. He replaced by Gala. That's all I got.
And unfortunately, the trend continues when you're talking about this type of series. Is that, yeah, Rogue Warriors is fine, and yeah, Betty, you're doing okay with Rogue Warriors, and you did actually pretty darn well with RNG, all things considered. Unfortunately, Gala has been fantastic with RNG.
Yeah,
they have been.
Betty wasn't ever 6-1, 7-1 with RNG. Unfortunately,
we're talking about getting to that next level, performing at the elite level of performance. That is what Gala has brought for the bot lane for RNG this year. Yes, this is the match that we were waiting for, not because of obviously the hype in the actual matchup itself, but just getting RNG back out there and another chance for them to prove what they can do and leave you dreaming about them matching up against squads like EDG towards the top of the table, thinking about, oh man, you just wait for the playoffs and you get squandered into the situation where you got RNG and we got FPX in the first round. How did this happen?
Yeah, with the win now, they slide into second in the LPL at 7-1, right behind that perfect record that EDG does have. So RNG, no big upset in their first week back from the break. Now we look ahead to the weekend, which is absolutely stacked with games. There are some fantastic matchups. I got 5 specific ones that I'd really want to look at. And the first one, it's cheating a little. Because technically, I mean, some people, do you count Friday as the weekend or do you not? You know, it's personal preference. But we got TSM versus Team Liquid. And of course, last time they matched up, this was kind of the beginning of TSM turning things around as they stomped Team Liquid, basically. And then they went on their big run.
And it's a reversal because it's Team Liquid that got the upset victory against Cloud9 to right the ship and are looking to continue that momentum, right? To continue going forward. And still, TSM is looking for something that I think that we still need to see from them is a bounce back performance, right? As much as we've talked about them getting better, continually improving over this time, the matchup they should have won against Dignitas with the composition and the way everything was, they should have found a way to win that matchup against the Dignitas squad. They didn't. They dropped that one. Need to see how the squad bounces back, performs after that situation. Team Liquid are going to be no pushovers in this one.
I think it's a bigger game for Team Liquid. Partly, obviously, they have the worst record. But if they lose, they go 0-2. This is Friday at the start of the weekend. I don't know. That might change how they're playing the rest of the weekend. You're a little, oh, geez, I don't know. Now all of a sudden we're 5-5. Oh, it might change how the rest of the games go over the weekend. It's less a big deal for TSM because they've been overperforming, I think, the last 2 weeks.
Yeah, and I think I want to highlight on the solo lanes, specifically in this matchup where I'm paying attention to the individual side. I think Jensen absolutely needs to step up compared to the last time that they played against TSM. This is, we TSM, Team Liquid, we've been talking for a long time, the rivalry of Bjergsen and Jensen. Now Bjergsen not on the Rift, coaching in that situation, but still Power of Evil has someone that we've also talked about in whether they're, where you're ranking the mid laners in North America and their power level. I think that Power of Evil absolutely got the better of him first time this split. Need to see Jensen bounce back. And then in the top side, the big investments, my man, investments of prior years in Hooney's contract money and the current big money investment in Alfari. You need to see Alfari put up a big fight in the top side, get away with some advantages. He's too good in this situation, and as much as I've been saying that Hooney has been much better than expected this year, has been clutch in team fights, you're Alfari. You're getting paid this money. You're coming into NA.
It should be a big advantage, Team Liquid topside.
Exactly. You better be able to give your team a strength point up there.
The other NA match to look at is on the Sunday, C9, 100 Thieves. They played a banger the last time. Cloud9 looked to be rolling away with it. Then there was a great fight around Dragon that 100 Thieves got back into it. But this is basically, could be first place on the line, depending on how the other two games go for both of these guys. Cloud9 will and should be relatively big favorites in this matchup, but could be a statement win for 100 Thieves.
I'm really hoping for a statement win from 100 Thieves, and that's not meant to be negative towards Cloud9 or anything. They're going to be there when we're talking about exciting things down the line or when the games truly matter. They're absolutely going to be there. But what I want to see from this 100 Thieves roster and why I really want to see them bounce back and get this win is an underperformance last week. And I need to see this response. I need to see this bounce back from this squad because the talent is absolutely there. And I want them to be one of the teams. I want to have as many teams at the very top that I can talk about in a positive light, looking in these type of things and what they're doing. 100 Thieves needs to provide us that. Getting a big win against Cloud9 absolutely would prove that. And I've got enough faith in Cloud9 and what they'd be able to do and how they bounce back that it wouldn't worry me too much. One
quick way to make you forget and get rid of the image of that Golden Guardians 100 Thieves match. You get a big win against Cloud9 and all of a sudden that's but a distant memory. Over to EU, it's the match, the rivalry, the only thing you need to look at when it's on the schedule for a week. G2 versus Fnatic. We threw a little bit of gas on this rivalry in their first matchup with Bwipo absolutely slam dunking on the Volibear against Reckless and Caps. This is EU. This is why you watch the LEC, is these two teams.
I want to see something creative from the Fnatic bottom lane. I want to see the counterpunch. I know we've been talking about it and memeing a little bit about the Senna Scion and that combo and what it brings to the table. Doesn't have to be as out there as that, but I want to see a little bit of creativity. I want to see a jab, a little punch toward that bottom lane of G2 and let them know that, okay, we're going to make things a little bit difficult for you in this matchup.
Yeah, that'd be fun to see Upset on, I don't know, like a comp built around him or something to kind of prove, like, you know what, Reckless? We don't miss you, man. We're still rolling ahead as Fnatic, but it is so much more fun that they won this first matchup. I feel like Reckless and even Caps to some degree are both going to be like, okay, we really need to win this matchup now. The second time.
And G2 should be feeling about that personally. But standings wise and what you need, Fnatic, this is a very valuable game. This is extremely important to try and take away a victory from not only taking it away from G2, but making sure you secure it. Given what happened last week, this can be a unbelievably a valuable point to pick up for Fnatic.
Saturday morning, you got some tough decisions. I mean, we've alluded to it throughout the show. You have T1 versus Damwon. At the same time, you also have RNG versus FPX. But the T1 Damwon series, I feel like, I mean, we're guilty of this. We've really hyped up this match, and I don't know if it really needs that much hyping up, because to be honest, I feel like Damwon's just going to destroy them.
I'm pretty sure the only benefit here, and what you gotta keep in your fingers crossed for, is that we don't go over, kind of 40 minutes in that first game between Damwon and T1. You don't want to go too long, and the only reason I say that is because, as you said, you got the FPX game as well on the same day. You gotta have the time spaced out, and thankfully, LCK starts 1 hour before the LPL, folks. Make sure you remember that. 1 hour before the LPL gets going underway, the LCK should start. So hopefully you can go between the two. But I don't know how you decide if you got to pick one or the other.
And remember, T1 Damwon, when they played back in week 2, I think it was, T1 looked ready. They were in control of that third game. They had a 4K gold lead. It was Kana still in the top lane, Elam in the jungle, Gumiyashi was the AD carry, and it looked like it was, oh, here we go, T1's back, maybe they're taking down Damwon, and of course, we know how that one ends. A few fights don't quite go the way of T1. Damwon flips it on its head pretty quick.
Yeah, looking for the reversal of fortune for T1. As you said, it very different roster the last time these two matched up on the Rift. Need to see not only the actual results from T1, but of course this is a great measuring stick for the new guys in Zeus and Owner.
Yep.
Need to see how they stack up, and tough test against the Damwon boys.
Can't get stomped if you want to have hope with T1. You've seen Hanwha Life, you've seen DRX have competitive matches against Damwon. If T1 can't do it, then start being a little bit concerned. But RNG FPX also to check out. And on the Friday, again, we'll probably talk about this game. IG versus EDG. Anytime EDG is playing now, it's must-see when they're still 8-0. I said it before, this has an IG overperformance written all over it to hand EDG their first loss.
And I can't tell if I want that or not, because on the flip side, IG stepping up and delivering these type of performances, that is so on brand for IG and the Shy and what goes on
and
there.
Then they'll lose to OMG the next match.
Exactly. But at the same time, I want to see this continued dominance from EDG. This has been so fun to watch what they've been able to do, and especially after being, probably at one of the lowest points for the organization this past little bit, to bounce back to such highs with this level of performance. Don't miss it, guys.
Yeah, it's been a fun ride. I don't want it to end yet on EDG. Not that losing one series in the regular season ends their ride by any means, but seeing a perfect team, especially in these major regions, is always a fun story to follow. Going to be an insane weekend, but that's all the time today for League Unlock. Eric and Mark here with you guys. Thanks for hanging with us, and we will catch you on that flippity flip.